when we run a function, we call that function, we invoke that function. We know that when we finish running that function, say multiply by 2, we know where to go back to. I can visually see on the page. I guess I go back out to where I was before. JavaScript needs to keep track of that. In fact, it keeps track of every single function that we call. And it does so using a way of storing data in a computer known as a stack, which is a useful organizing way of organizing data, just like a stack of plates. The only thing it cares about at any given moment is the top plate. I can't grab random plates from a stack of plates. I can only take the top one off. Well, that's exactly what a call stack feels like. The only thing it cares about is what's on its top right now. And when we run a function like multiply by 2, as we do in this line, we're going to add it to the top of the stack of calls with the input. There it is. Every time we run a function, we add it to the stack of calls. Every time it finishes running, what keyword, David, tells me finish running a function?
Return.
Return. We remove it. Anyone know the posh word? Do we know the posh word for adding to a stack?
Like push and pop.
Push to a stack and pop to remove it, exactly. We pop it off. Unfortunately, this is not the whiteboard to be rapidly popping stuff off stacks, but let's give it a go. We pop it off the stack. And actually, there's one thing I didn't mention is we can think of our whole file of code, because remember, functions is just little mini programs. Our whole file of code is a main program. We can think of it as being wrapped up in a big old function. What do we call it? Charles? Do you know what we call the? That's not very fair of me to just throw out a question like that. We call the overall kind of function that is our overall code that we're running. We call that, do you know, Virginia? Oh, Charles? Global. Yeah, exactly. Think of our overall code as global, and we're running that. And so as soon as I run multiply by 2 with the input of 3, I add it on top. When I finish running it, I take it off, and I go back out to global. I start running multiply by 2 with the input of 10, add it on top, finish running it, take it off, back to global. If I were to run another function inside of multiply by 2 with the input of 3, I'd have multiply by 2 input of 3, and I'd have another function on top of it. Another function inside of that one, another on top of it. All the way up the call stack if I were to recursively call a function inside a function inside a function until I ran out of space on the stack. And I'd have what's known as Stack Overflow. Exactly, I ran out of space. Okay, there we go. Those are the founding principles of JavaScript. They only took us half an hour, no problem.